As we back order this, I would like to ask Mr. Apple to lead us in our prayer and pledge.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for all the blessings you bestow on us. Thank you for all the joys that we have in life. I ask that you continue to bless the Levy County school system. Give us guidance and wisdom as we make decisions today. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Apple. I'd like to welcome all our guests. We would say to you that if you have anything you'd like to say this time to address the board, now's the time for that to happen.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
at this time I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda to add between the digital classroom and the approval minutes, so sliding everything, making that F, a discussion on the attorney's report, so on the information that came back to us late last week.
Okay. Is there any objection to that? Say that you're not amended. Does it need to vote first? There's no objection, let's vote. All in favor of that, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Now the agenda is amended. Anybody else? Okay, Ms. Becky? Florida Health and School District, silver status.
Good morning, Superintendent Hastings and school board members. I ask you to join me in welcoming Melody Griffin, who is the state coordinator for Florida for the state coordinator for Action for Healthy Kids to our school board meeting this morning, as well as Angie Phillips, our school district school health nurse. Melody was instrumental in helping us receive the breakfast grants that helped us purchase our breakfast carts that we have at each of their school, famously known as the fueling station for students on the go. And I'm grateful for her guidance and her direction with this grant and throughout the process, and the success of the program has been evident. Far exceeded our expectations in August and September, and it looks like we're heading for a prosperous October as well. I checked the last figures participation rate last Friday, and our percentage rate is 45% above participation from last year at this time. So we want to keep the momentum going and believe that we can with the continued support of our school-based management. We know we're coming into the cooler time of the year, and we're looking at ways to just keep that momentum going for our kids. Upon receipt of the grant, Angie and I felt it was prudent that we take the next step and complete the Healthy District Assessment, which is a tool used to measure 8 areas in a school district, and I'd like to read those for you. Family and community involvement, comprehensive school health education, school health service, physical education, nutrition services, healthy school environment, counseling, psychological and social services, and school site health promotion for staff. And I want to mention with this one, our care center that we implemented this year has really kind of helped us elevate our status in applying for this award. I was going to say, with the assistance of many of the administrators present today, that many of them are throughout the district at different meetings. It was their input that helped Angie and I compile the data to submit it for the Healthy Florida School Healthy Award, and as a result, we received an award status. Recently, I was a panelist at the Florida Chronic Disease Prevention Summit, and the moderator asked a question of the 3 panelists that were there. One of the questions was, what did your team learn by completing the assessment? And I responded that it wasn't until we began processing the data that we just realized how much Levy County, as a small rural district, just how far we were in this process, and how much we had accomplished as a small rural district. And to be able to earn this distinction on our first try was really, really an amazing feat. And with this, I'll turn it over to Melody Griffin for her presentation to the superintendent and school board.
Great. Thank you, Becky. And consistent with the shining star you've been for Action for Healthy Kids, you covered a lot of my presentation, so thank you. So I'm going to go off script and let you know that Florida Action for Healthy Kids gives out grants every year. And we believe that, as the research shows, those children that have a healthy breakfast are ready to learn and can do better in the classroom. So it is our hope when we give out these grants that we improve breakfast participation a little bit. Levy County has become a center of focus for Action for Healthy Kids on the national level. You guys have really taken these grants and just ran with them and had results that we could never imagine. So thank you to you, Becky, for your hard work. And I want to thank Angie for talking to me almost a year ago and saying, you know, what is this Healthy District Award? Because just like you said, Levy County is doing amazing things, and I'm so proud to present the Silver Award to you. I want to let you know in those 8 areas that Becky talked about, the 3 things that you really stood out on are your district infrastructure, which confirms the value of strong administrative and community support and sustainability, your health services, which is indicating that you're removing health-related barriers to attendance, performance, and providing for academic success, and your family and community involvement. You are now one of 27 school districts across the state of Florida that have been awarded the Florida Healthy School District. And I believe with the improvements you made even just since this award, that when this comes around again, you guys might be eligible for both. So thank you to Levy County for being on the forefront of ensuring the future of a healthy Florida by creating health literate and health practicing students and staff that are fit, healthy, and ready to learn. And with that, I'd like to present you with this silver flag. We hope that you can put it in a prominent place and show the pride for the wonderful, healthy habits that you have implemented in the district.
Is it which one? The other one.
That works good.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate very much your interest in this too. And certainly
Thank you, Ms. Becky.
Thank you.
Next year, we expect to go.
2 years.
Next 2
It's
years.
good, it's good for 2 years,
Good.
2014 to 16.
Well, keep working.
Thank you.
That's a good thing about being a student. You got to work good.
Visited Yankeetown last Friday and talking to the lunchroom staff down there, they said that their breakfast with the cart has increased significantly.
Yep.
So, thanks all for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Becky, also thank you for your replying on that salad stuff, so I can
Oh.
get to that parent that asked.
You're welcome. We
Thank
hope to get it started again. Thank you.
All right, digital classroom, Mr. Perez and Ms. Barr.
Good morning, Mr. Hickey, good morning, school board members. Purpose of my presentation today is to present to you the digital classroom allocation, and that's the requirement for to get this grant or this allocation. We have to submit a digital classroom plan that has to be school board approved, and submitted to DOE. So. This year's digital classroom allocation, the Florida legislature has allocated about $40 million to for the digital classroom initiative. And the way to make it even for every school district is that they allocate $250,000 base for every district plus 40, then FDE count. And so for Levy's share, we get $293,000 and $145. So that's how we got the $250,000 base plus our FTE. On top of that, there was, according to Ron Endo, the Deputy official for innovations in Tallahassee, he mentioned that there was some leftover money for the raising deposit this year. And so what he ended up doing was getting, splitting that up to $75,000 for every district for professional development, strictly for professional development. That's how we got the $75,000. Now, with the digital classroom allocation, even though it was rolled into general funds, it was slated to be only spent on these 4 areas. Digital learning and technology infrastructure, professional development, digital tools, and online assessments. With our current needs is in technology infrastructure. If you think of building a house, the foundation has to be in very good shape before you put your roof on in your structure. The same thing that goes with our initiative. We have 9-year-old Neighbor.com switches that we got through E-rate in the past. Unfortunately, those switches, one, they're outdated, but second, cannot do what we need them to do in order to process the security that we need to have once we start offering bring your own device to our students. So our main focus is to procure those switches, and we're going to start at the high school level because we're going to have more impact as far as students bringing their own device at the higher grade levels of the high school and middle school. And so we're going to focus those initially, and then we're going to trickle down to the elementary schools at a later time. One of the things that we need to do also is to increase the bandwidth at our high schools. We already upgraded the bandwidth at Chiefon High School this year, and we're looking to upgrade the bandwidth at the Bronson High School and Wilson High School and Wilson Middle School this upcoming year. We also, because of the increase in bandwidth, we also need to increase the DAN host. DAN host basically is the connection between all the schools that goes back to the county office. So, because if you upgrade the bandwidth on the schools, that has to increase on the DAN host of the county office to handle that additional load. Part of the digital classroom plan is that if a district is to spend money on infrastructure, a third-party evaluator has to be involved to, as a check to make sure that, you know, a district doesn't just go to Best Buy and buy, you know, Netgear wireless access points, and then later down the road, you look at it, well, it's not the right equipment that you should have bought. So they want to have a third-party evaluator in there to put a stamp of approval, like, yep, this is what you need to purchase, this is what you need to do, and this is what you're gonna, what you need to procure and all stuff. And since we are part of the NEFAC consortium, they were qualified to do as a third-party evaluator for the NEFAC school districts. And their actual evaluation is part of the package that we have sent to you last. So this is pretty much the breakdown of how we're going to break, or how we're going to spend the allocation. So you can see most of the there's the funding up top, and then the expenditures. You can see most of the stuff that we're talking about there, from the Cisco switches all the way down to the Meraki wireless access points. That's the bulk of the money. We have some technology training in there built in to make sure that, you know, we can manage this newer technology, newer equipment that's going to be going through our closets in our schools. Stoneware SSO renewal, that is our single sign-on software that we have purchased, and so there's an annual recurring cost on that one, and so we were able to use part of this money to renew that. SSO is a mandatory component in order for our school district to access the single sign-on at the state level.
Do you want us to wait till you finish with any questions or
Yes.
anything, Ron?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll wait till you get finished.
Yes, sir.
All right.
If that's okay. And then the bandwidth increase, bandwidth increase, and also you probably see there one is the charter schools. They are part of this grant, and they get based on their FTE count. So we estimated there's probably gonna be around $11,000 this year, so that's their share. They are also required to create a digital classroom plan. It's not as complicated, I guess, or as stringent as our requirement, but they still need to produce a digital classroom plan to let the state know what their plans are, what they're gonna spend their money on. And so I just want to share also this one is our bring your own device roadmap. At the very bottom, as you can see, it says network infrastructure, wired and wireless. That's where we are right now, make sure that infrastructure is in good shape so that we can handle all the bandwidth, all the access and stuff like that we can provide to the students and staff. Then we'll need to have network security and account management. In that way, we don't have any control of the devices that would come into our network. Once we offer, we bring your own device. So there's got to be a way that we can segment off different traffic so that, if for some reason a student might have brought a machine that has malware on it, it doesn't infect the rest of the network. Because, we can say, hey, make sure that you have a device solution, but, once you leave that option to the user's hands, you don't have control. So we have to make sure that we have solution for that particular instance. Staff and student email solution, we already have a staff email, but one thing that we're looking at is possibly going to either Google Mail, just because we can leverage the amount of their unlimited storage. We have a limited storage of the current email system that we have in licensing and anti-spam filtering and all that stuff. So by using Google Mail, we can move away from that model and be able to offer email addresses to every student, to every staff, without any restrictions. Student single sign-on, we already have a single sign-on for our staff, but our hopes would be to be able to push the digital content to our single sign-on. I know that we have visited Marion County in the past and looked at their model, and it seems to be working well for them. So we're hopefully one day we'll be in there where we can deliver this content through the single sign-on for the student. And once we get all that, we obviously have to increase our bandwidth so that we can have the capacity to handle all the traffic that's going to come in through. One of the things that can be a little bit difficult on the bandwidth is that we're in E-rate, not E-rate, but NEFAC's working hard to get us connections here in the rural district as far as pricing wise. Just to share with you general statement as far as how much the cost is. I've heard out there that a 1 gig connection, a gigabyte of connection between one school to the district office at counties like Leon County is probably around $500 to $700 a month. Well, we're paying 100 megabits, which is a tenth of that, and we're paying around $2,500. So there's a big, we can go, higher, but it's going to cost us more. Plus also, we're also in the diversity of the amount of bandwidth that AT&T or CenturyLink can offer us at this point in time. So those are some of the issues that we're going to be working on once we start to go bandwidth, and then finally, we'll be able to offer BYOD. That's where my slide is. So I guess I'm going to have.
You indicated we were going to start with the secondary, then
Yes.
try to come out. Not being mean-spirited, but why not have that same attitude with the charter school? Give them their money for their high school first, and then when you are ready to do the middle schools and all in Levy County, give them their portion for the middle school then?
Unfortunately, that's not how the allocation works. It's just that they have to, you're talking about their money. No, it's controlled by the state. So once they sign on with the plan, and that's one thing that's sort of I guess you can call it unfair in our instance, is because we have, as you can see in the digital classroom plan, it's elaborate on how we, different stuff that we have to fill out.
So it was our decision to do high school and
Yes, yes, sir.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's our decision, just because we felt that we have a lot better
Thank you.
access to the students. So.
On your chart that had allocations,
Yes, sir.
and this sounds terrible, but it's not meant to. Like where you did the switches,
Yes,
it
sir.
says they were doing that Chipley Middle, Cedar Key.
Yes, sir.
What about Bronson, Wilson, and Yankton?
We
Is that where are the other schools switches okay?
Well, I can answer that question, actually. Bronson Middle High School, we had digital wireless grant last year for, I believe, $214,000. And so we did not know if we're going to get another pot of money again, just like this year. So what we decided is to spread the wealth, as you may. So what we did is we took the main closets of each school, elementary, no matter, from elementary to the high school, combination schools, and we look at what their needs are, infrastructure at that point in time, and we bought a replacement Cisco switch for them.
Perfect.
Then, once we finished that, I was looking at the grant, it's like, well, let's see how much it's gonna cost for Bronson Middle High School if we can spend the rest of the money to cover Bronson Middle High School, and we were fortunate that we did. So what we ended up doing is we purchased the rest of the equipment for Bronson Middle High School as far as the switches goes on each of their buildings. That's why they're not on the list, because they're funded for this year.
No problem.
And then with Yankeetown, unfortunately, when I was looking in here, I did not have enough money, but what we're gonna end up doing is that if we get the money again, we'll spend it on the Yankeetown and the rest of the elementary schools for next year. Question about why is Wilson Mills High School and Wilson Middle School and high school is not on the list. I was thinking about the idea of obviously they're building a new school, and I was thinking about it. Originally, I had them on the list, but I felt that if I'm going to spend the money on their current infrastructure, current building of this year, and we don't take off yet to where we can offer BYOD, then that equipment is going to sit there. It will do its function as far as, doing traffic and all that stuff. But then by the time the new school is built, then they'll have a brand new equipment anyway as far as switches and wireless access points and stuff like that. So I felt that instead of putting the equipment there, we could take the money and spend it on cabling and installation at Chief Middle High School, which will probably not going to get a new building in the next decade based on my current trend. So I just felt that we could spend the money more wisely on a building or a school that may or may not get a new building after 10 years than to a school that's going to get a new school in 2 years. That's my thing.
I understand your thinking along those lines. What's going to happen? What are those kids supposed to do between now and 2016?
We're still going to be, part of this money is not going to bring us to where we want. It's still going to, it's the money that's going to get us closer to them. So at this point in time, just like on this slide right here, we're still in the infrastructure mode to where we're to have to put those infrastructure first. What we're going to kids do is still going to be for the rest of the schools, no matter from your Cedar Key, Yankeetown, or Bronson, or Chiefland, they're still going to be the same level. Because we're still going to not be able to offer BYOD to those kids at this current point in time.
And what he's saying, this Bill said, we could put the switches and equipment in that building, but it would just sit there basically anyway. And so it wouldn't serve any useful purpose for this year. And so we are probably going to be a half a year out. But, to put that much money in there, and it's just going to sit there for a year would be not properly using that money best our bank. Also, the figure that we keep hearing for next year is $100 million, whereas this year was $40 million for technology. Now that's all wonderful, but again, if they roll that into our FEFD, which they did this year, and then they're going to say, look what we've done for you, but it's all to be spent on technology.
And also my understanding, and I think we were told last year that, we're not using at the maximum bandwidth they can stay. Does that make sense? Does that make sense?
Just repeat it.
Based on the switches and the equipment they have.
Wilson High School, the maximum bandwidth they had available, it was at Wilson High School.
That, I'm not sure if that's a true statement. I have to check with, the Williston area is a bit more interesting if you want.
Yeah, it is.
Because what it is that the Williston schools all funnel through CenturyLink. And CenturyLink will only allow one line of internet connection back to the district office. So what happens is all schools feed through Williston High School and then it goes back to us. So at this point in time, actually they have 200 megs, which is twice as much as what any other schools have. But that's also looking at serving 4 other schools. That is, I don't think that is the maximum. It's just that we felt that, we did increase our bandwidth last year from 2 years ago. We have initially, I believe that we started with a total of 200 megs total, but we upgraded to 300. Actually 300. So to be able to have a bigger, like Joyce Bullock Elementary School, they only originally had 15 megs of connection before. We doubled that to 30 last year, and the same to the other schools, Wilson Elementary and Wilson Middle School. But as far as that is the maximum bandwidth, I don't think that's a true statement. And that's part of the thing that we're going to chase after, is that once we increase the bandwidth at the high schools, then also we'll have to require to have a bigger pipe or connection, if you may, from the Wilson High School back to us. So I don't think that that's a true statement.
Mr. Superintendent, the money we get for the new school, are these kind of costs, are they included in the new school? But really, truly, Wilson High School fall on the shoulders, because we're not going to get that money. But the rest of the county will get to use that money, but then we're going to get the new money when we get the new school. Is that a true statement?
I don't think it's totally true. There's upgrades that will be done, and and when we get to the point of being able to supply the BYOD, then certainly Wilson High School and this school will be a part of that. But to spend that kind of money on Cisco switches, probably it's not advantageous to the district.
Which schools were we referring to that we were going to wire,
Chief of Middle High School.
and it's gonna sit a year?
Sorry.
There was one school we were talking about that we were gonna upgrade to, and then it was just gonna sit for a year.
Oh, that's the switch, instead of, what I meant was that instead of spending the money to go to Williston High School and middle school, instead of spending money to get equipment for those schools, we took that money, pot of money, and we're gonna put it into cable at Chief on Middle High School.
Even though it might be used for a year.
No, well, the cabling will be, because as far as, we'll have a better throughput and bandwidth as far as connectivity between the switches and equipment. Now, it's still going to be used as far as laying down the infrastructure so that when we are ready, we'll be able to utilize this.
We don't have the money to build the infrastructure and provide BYOD, which the state would like for us to do, but very few candidates, if any, are there. But, so, with this pot of money, you got to build the infrastructure. And even though we're building infrastructure now, that's a necessary step to get it where we need to be next year. But we can't do it all in one setting.
Can I ask you another question?
Yes, sir.
It has nothing to do with this. In my understanding, last year was my school, that a lot of these DOCs, these kids were kicked off several times. Is that a common problem in the county, or that just works in my school?
I've seen, it depends. I mean, I've seen it tours have some issues as far as kids not logging out correctly, or they click the wrong thing, or the way it works with the EOC is that, the only way that that could have happened if it's just in a mass number is that if there's a program installed on a server called Proctor Caching. The way that Proctor Caching works is that all the machines are pointed to Proctor Cache. So when you run that, when a kid logs on, it downloads, well, before that happens, actually the task coordinator downloads the test to the Proctor Cache. So all the tests are located in this one server. So when a kid logs on to take the test, it talks to the Proctor Cache server instead of going out to the internet. If that Proctor Cache server is not running, then the only option for that client to go is directly to Pearson. So now instead of, let's just say 100 kids taking the test locally within the network, now you got 100 kids trying to go out to the internet on a small site. And that's one of the possible reasons why that either kids are getting kicked off, kids cannot get in. But it's very rare that I've seen it as a whole widespread issue as far as kids not being able to log in. Because typically, if something like that happens, that's the first thing we check.
Wasn't there an issue with some of the teachers not being on Chrome?
That is for this year's fair. Yeah, I think it was unfair, I believe, this year that has the biggest issue with their platform. But for the EOCs last year, that's the only thing I can think of.
Tracy had
Mr. Esposito.
I just wanted to say, we're talking about Wilson's got a unique situation. CenturyLink is also synonymous with WeekLink, okay? And we've got some engineers working on a possible solution, and we're not there yet. But CenturyLink is the WeekLink in the internet connectivity rules.
Mr. Philpott.
Yes, sir.
Couple of questions for you, Ron. So,
Yes.
thank you for, this is very detailed, so all the staff put a lot of work in this. So, in talking like with Leon County and what they're able to go, is there a way through NEFAC that we can come together, and Mr. Hastings, maybe you can answer this, so that we go together to buy more bandwidth, to upgrade, or is it because AT&T, or what? Where are we in that process to kind of get a little bit better bang for our buck?
Tracy probably will be able to answer that.
We have been working with the FCC on that, because even though the actual maps say that you have the bandwidth available in this area, you don't. And every time we go to a carrier to purchase it, we can't get that bandwidth in the areas. We are working to band together and actually applying for a grant in December so that you can own your own network between the schools. And that's what we're hoping to do. We're also, Ron's case about the least carrier price. We have, and I can tell you some real examples. We have Baker County, and it's 100 megs, they're paying $500. For Columbia right up the road, they're paying $2,500 for 100 megs. For Hamilton right up the road, they're paying $3,500. For Lafayette, it's $4,500. Right in that area, for the same bandwidth, 4 different carriers. 4 different carriers that the FCC gave money to lower that bandwidth. We're not seeing it. So we've got our case up there on that. Right across the border in Hamilton County, 5 miles away, they get it for $500.
Right.
So right now, the carriers are holding us hostage. Also, the bandwidth promise, what we're paying for, we're not getting. So that's another battle. I mean, there's no sense in us paying for 100 megs when we're only getting 6 up and 25 down.
Right.
So we still have to, there's a lot of work in that area that needs to be done, and we are banding together to try to purchase it.
Okay, let me introduce Tracy in case y'all don't know her. This is Tracy Wilkerson, and she lives way over in Gilchrist County, but she's also the director for the MISIT for NEFAC. And she was very instrumental in helping us write this grant and putting it together.
The other thing I wanted to ask is, I saw, it's probably been about 3 weeks ago, I realized Union County is a lot smaller district with us, so, but with the devices that they were able to provide their students. So what's our time, 2018, we're supposed to be 1-to-1, is that correct on what?
They have brought that requirement for the districts to be 1-to-1. In fact, a lot of the districts have gone away from the 1-to-1 and have put, going back and putting parts into classrooms and assigning actual devices at the school level to different students. Union County is unique in the fact that they have a Windstream it's not an EOC, but a Windstream place right there that they can go right across the road and they can go right into Windstream and get their internet connection. They have low internet cost, so they're able to take their cost and put it more into devices this year. They are probably our test database for all of our districts, and we will kind of follow some of their leads in it. Once we get the infrastructure in, the actual devices are not as expensive as that infrastructure, so we'll be able to go in that direction.
Yeah, with Union County also, to add on that one, I mean, you mentioned there are 4 schools, but then, you know, as far as connectivity wise, you know, they got 1 gig connection for each school. So bandwidth is not an issue. You know, and Jeremy out there has done a good job as far as, you know, planning on different things. But, you know, you have mentioned some initiatives that, you know, you can purchase a module to change it on both ends, and now he's going to have a 10 gig connection for that. So as far as bandwidth, it's not an issue for them. And that's one of the sort of an issue for us, is just we're just way so spread out that, you know, we don't have the infrastructure to build on as far as, if we have our own fiber, you know, from here to Cedar Key or here to Chief or here to Wilson, I think that would be fantastic. Now, you know, how realistic that is and how much it's going to cost, I mean, that's a different thing. So that would be, you know, if we can get a fiber from each of those schools back to us, I mean, that would be as happy.
Do we have just a rough estimate on what we would need to have the true infrastructure? And I realize it's always ever changing, but what would be the final dollar figure on what we would need to be up and be to where the standard that we're supposed to be at? Or we want to be at?
I haven't really put in that numbers together, just because I know that the pockets of money changes. And that's another thing too, is like you mentioned, is that the price of technology changes. So I might plan for, let's just say a Cisco switch that's gonna be $2,000. Well, if I'm looking at maybe 3 years down the road, well, that might come down to $1,200. So, you know, my estimates might not be that as accurate as that. And we're just playing as some, you know, whenever we get a pot of money, then we look to see how much we can maximize that to impact as much of our schools as possible.
And with this on the switches and whatnot, through Effect, are we going together through that to get better deals to kind of volume purchase?
We are looking at the volume purchase, however, every time we do a volume purchase, then a vendor will come in and undercut us, which is illegal, but it does happen. So we will continue that. We also will leverage the E-rate money.
Right.
This money, if we can strategically spend it, we can wait till the next quarter to start ordering it and then leverage E-rate money. They're changing the E-rate laws, and for 2 years we can go after, it's $150 times the number of students that are in the county. That can be spent on infrastructure. So Ron also has that fact in his mind, that money can also be added to this money and
Yes.
we'll spread it around.
We're going to try to leverage that definitely. But, you know, for me, I don't really, you know, we can plan on it until I see the actual, it's here, then I'll put that one in.
Thank you.
And to your question, we had 3 vendors come in, and for our 15 smaller rural districts, it was $140 million to have all of our schools up to 100 megs. And that was the carrier's price. We know we can get that launched.
We don't have that much yet, do we?
No.
Okay, as part of the grant, as part of the plan is, in August, the state released the Race to the Top Digital Learning PD grant, and it's rolled up into Ron's PD, this digital plan. And what this was specifically targeted for was to be used to provide professional development for teachers to infuse student using technology in their classroom learning activities. Also, an emphasis on creating lessons in their curriculum that has students collaborating and working with technology to deepen their thinking and understanding of concepts. So when I was working through the grant and creating the activities, which I'm getting ready to share with you, it had to be really focused on PD for teachers. As a district, we worked really hard not to pull teachers out of the classroom and during their instructional time. And so this grant enabled me to use a different model. And most of the model is going to be after hours training where I can give them a stipend. So that way, they're not having to worry about a sub being pulled out of their room. So it did give us the opportunity for that, and it gave me the opportunity to explore different avenues of professional development for our teachers. The first one is we've had PD 360 for about 5 years, but in the last year they've been bought out by Innovation, so they've updated their video library. This is a way that they can go to videos and see exemplars of project-based learning, blended learning, they've got teaching standards in the classroom with our new standards, which actually provides the lesson plans that the teacher used in the exemplar video. So it's a really good resource for our teachers to use to really get them looking at how other schools and other districts are using technology with their students. Another opportunity that's going to be provided is we have a couple people in the district that I call that are experts in areas of using flipped classroom and Edmodo. In fact, Edmodo, we had a training in the spring for District PD Day, and we had 75 teachers get trained with Edmodo, and they were really excited about it. And so we've gotten requests from principals and from schools to have that training, and this is going to enable me to do a couple after-hours trainings for the teachers to get and set up their Edmodo, which is like, if you're not familiar with it, it's like a social network, but it's very enclosed where just the teacher creates the classroom, she sends the codes to the students, they enter the codes and they become part of the class where they can upload assignments, the teacher can post attachments, and they can also take quizzes, polls, and all different types of things within the class and within that Edmodo site, and then they can give, the teacher can give the parents a code, and the parents can actually monitor their grades that way as well. So I followed Tanya Taylor's class for a year and watched her do it and was just blown away by the different things that the kids were doing. So she's the will be the trainer for that. And then we have Catherine Mueller at Williston High that has worked with Flipped Classroom, which Flipped Classroom is basically you're front-loading the student with information, whether it's a video clip, information, a mini lecture by the teacher where the students can preview the content before they get in the classroom. So there's less teaching time and more time for the teacher to get out and help and support the students. So it's something that she's used with her biology honors class, and she's going to also do an after-hours training. As well as another offering we're going to have is NEFEC has online coursework, creating blended courses, collaborating in a digital classroom, and project-based approaches. All of these really foster using technology for the students, and the grant will pay for the coursework, but also pay them the stipend upon completion of the coursework. So just really trying to leverage some ways to motivate the teachers and get them involved and able to compensate them with some with stipends. And another one that's really exciting, and I know the foundation did this last year, is they provided scholarships for teachers to go to FETC. So I've already sent out emails to the teachers asking for for them to submit. I sent them the workshop catalog where they can look through it, choose the courses they would like to take, and they would pay up to 2 courses, hotel, and substitute for them to be able to go to FETC, and there would be a teacher from every school that would be eligible to attend, and as well as our STEM coordinator, because there's so much science, technology, and engineering and math at the FETC and the workshops. So again, it's just a really exciting way to get teachers involved in technology and get them more comfortable, because as you know, our students are a lot further ahead than a lot of the adults. And so it's getting the teachers to feel comfortable with it, and sometimes let those students take the lead. But my grant had to have a focus. I'm allowed to, disperse a lot of these trainings throughout the district, but I really had to focus on a few schools. The recommendation was to try not to get too broad as far as the focus schools, because then it would just overwhelm. So I chose 3 schools, Williston High, Chief Leavelle High, and Bronson High, to do a lesson study, and that's going to be the culmination that I submit to the state. And a lesson study is an opportunity for 5 to 6 teachers to work together to create a lesson using technology, the students using technology. But what they do is they will meet after hours, and they will get paid their stipend, but they will work and collaborate and build this lesson. And then one of the teachers is volunteers or is appointed to go present that lesson, and the other participants go in and watch her teach. And they're not observing her, they're observing the lesson. They're seeing what in the lesson needs to be tweaked to make it a better lesson, so that all people they can use it and create a plan for others to use as well. So that will be the culminating activity for this, and my hope is that we'll have one that we can video and upload to PD 360 as an exemplar for the other schools in our district. So that's what the digital PD grant encompasses this year for Libby. Are there any questions?
This was what, $75,000, correct? Instead of $75,000 for professional development. And this model up here, is it specifically for those schools that are being impacted with the other grant next year?
It's available for all
Or this is
schools.
available for all
Because a lot of
schools?
schools already have technology in their classrooms via the carts and laptop carts. So they have the ability to do that collaboration. It's just that we see them sitting in there because we don't have that connection of how to infuse it, what's a good model, what's an exemplar. So it's just getting some training so people feel more comfortable moving to that direction. The other issue is we're so entrenched as teachers where we are the keepers of the knowledge and we present. And this is a switch that's getting teachers to kind of step back and let the students take the lead with the collaboration.
And obviously, this information is being disseminated to all schools, the availability of.
Oh, yes, I've already sent out the FETC one. I sent out Friday to all schools. And as I launch, like I will be launching, the next one will be launching the flipped classroom in Edmodo. That will go out to all schools.
Actually, I mean, even though she made this application and wrote the grant, no, we didn't get confirmation that we got the grant until when?
This morning.
This morning.
Oh, that's fine, I'm just,
So I've been having to
I'm
hold
trying to
back.
correlate how this is related to what the things that Ron was talking about.
Yeah, this is an addition to.
Specifying certain
And this has,
areas.
and it has to all be expended by June 30th. So I've got a timeline, yeah. So I've been waiting anxiously for this to arrive so I could launch it, because they're, like I said, the time constraints are pretty short.
Ms. Barber, what
Yes.
was the three schools you said that were doing the lesson study at?
Bronson Middle High, Chiefland Middle High, and Williston High. And luckily Kathy is going to be helping me with that. I've got a lot of people within the district, but she is one of the ones that she is very well versed in lesson studies, so she is going to be staying with us after hours to help the schools, support the schools.
This is something that we need to continue to do. I was in a kindergarten classroom last week, and it was amazing to me, those kids knew more about smart boards than I did now. Because they were working on that thing, I said, hey, they had kindergarten.
Yes.
And that's not gonna change, if they start in kindergarten, it's not gonna change. It's only gonna get worse. Unquote, worse.
Where you're concerned.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about as far as amount of usage. That's not gonna stop, it's only gonna get worse, more and more and more.
It's just going to increase, and yes.
Right, thank you, increase would be a better word than worse. Thank you, but it was amazing to me.
I think one
They were
of
kindergarten.
the problems that we have, the way I see it, is that when we're talking about, testing fifth graders on the computers, fourth graders, and our teachers don't have enough time to be teaching typing skills, although they try and they do, but are we testing the students to know what knowledge they have, or at that age, going down to third grade? Or are we testing them to see their typing skills? That's a point that I hope that they understand, that we've got to just ease this stuff down to get our first graders and second graders to learn the keyboards, instead of just saying, you will take this test on the computer next year. Well, they got to have time to learn how to type, to learn the keyboard.
Because their world is touchscreen. It
Yes.
is keyboard.
Yes.
I mean, I'll sit there and do that with my own laptop, and try and touch it, anyway.
What, any other questions? Well, thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate what you do, and I know it's a tough deal, but thank you, keep working. I've been asked to take a 5-minute recess by Peter, so this time we'll recess 5 minutes.
He's gonna need a motion on to.
Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me.
I move we accept the School Board of Levy County Digital Classroom Plan.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion failed. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Now,
you.
I've been asked by a peer, take a 5-minute recess. We're in recess. Call this meeting back to order.
Attorney,
Attorney,
discussion on that.
Mr. Attorney,
Yes, sir.
you have word
Can
for
you
me?
explain what you sent us there?
Absolutely, and I apologize if it wasn't clear. It's a complicated subject that we were dealing with. And what I was trying to enlighten everybody on is that whether a policy or a recommendation can only come from the superintendent for consideration by the board, or whether it can come from some other source, is not exactly a one-size-fits-all scenario, because there's so many things that a school district deals with. But the overarching principle and how Florida law is set up, sort of the default option of the standard operating procedure, would be the superintendent brings a recommended policy before the board for consideration, the board votes on it. That goes back to Florida statute 1001.41, and some other statutes are clearly designed that way. 1001.49 subpart 1 and 1001.49 subpart 3 are all designed, the superintendent will bring a recommendation for the board for consideration. The question, as I understood it, was a little bit different. Is it possible? Is it legal? Is there any scenario in which an issue can be placed on the agenda for consideration by the board without it coming directly as a recommendation from the superintendent? And I think our policies do say, yes, it is possible. It is legal for that to occur, and that would be, the authority for that would be 3.01 subpart 2, which talks about the responsibility of the superintendent and the way things are placed on the agenda. And it says, when possible, any matter coming before the board shall first be presented to the superintendent to be included on the agenda.
When possible.
When possible. Again, that's the standard operating procedure. That's the way it should typically happen. I think that the wording of that opens the door for the possibility that a procedure or a policy could be placed on the agenda without the recommendation of the superintendent. It's
Would that not mean that when it's not possible to bring it to the superintendent, then it could be?
Well, I think that that would be the standard way that it should happen. It should be the way Florida law is set up, is that it should come through the superintendent's office. And
But if the superintendent was incapacitated, then perhaps it would be other way. I can see where it's not illegal, but it's not what is said in statute. What is said in statute is that the superintendent makes recommendations. Now, the way this board has always worked, which has been, I think, a very good way for it to work, is that if a board member sees a need for something, they would like for our district office to look into developing a policy or something, they bring it up in a board meeting, or they can do it at any time in my office. But, and I can think of 3 examples right now where Mr. Turner said, would y'all look at doing this or look at doing that? And we, research. And we get back either with a policy or with a statement as to why that probably is not in the district's best interest. But certainly, the superintendent should listen to the concerns of the board and what they have to say. But I think it's very clear that the superintendent recommends, and the board, after careful consideration of his recommendation, either accepts or rejects or alters that recommendation.
I think that is how Florida law is designed, and I've got to tell you, that's the best practice of a well-functioning board. That's how it's supposed to typically happen. It's not just David Delaney's opinion. I've consulted with a number of other attorneys throughout the state who represent school districts that wrestle with the same issue. And that's certainly how it's supposed to typically work. There's a board member request, whether it's made in public at a meeting or directly to the superintendent. Outside of the meeting, the superintendent and our staff evaluate the situation, which they're the professionals, I think, in a good position to do that. And then they bring back information in the form of a recommendation.
Okay. Then that being said, I'd like to make a motion to ask the superintendent to bring back a communication protocol policy before the board that we could workshop. So on the policy, so of communicating whether it's, a bus crash, a bomb threat, school lockdown, whatever, or any type of information. So it doesn't matter where it happens in the county, that it would be disseminated. So obviously, if it's a emergency situation, we're not asking the superintendent or staff to stop doing what they're doing to attend the needs of the students, but just to set aside so that information flows through us. So we have the number and do not, so I guess look like we don't know what's going on if we're asked on the street by somebody, wherever we may be. So that's what I would like.
You heard the motion, is there a second?
Yeah, be heard on that one more additional comment before we go any further. One of the things that I tried to explain in my correspondence is that there are certain duties that are carved out under statute that are responsibilities of the superintendent. And the big idea there is the day-to-day operation and running of the district is the superintendent's purview. So the devil would be in the details of exactly how the policy was worded or how it was designed. I don't think that Florida law would allow a policy that would take away one of the clear responsibilities of the superintendent to be passed. I think that would be inappropriate under the statute.
What are we taking away?
Clear? I'm not saying that anybody's taking anything away. What I'm saying is Florida law lays out certain responsibilities of the superintendent. For instance, to bring personnel recommendations to the board. That was pretty clear under the statute. And it's pretty clear that the board's got very limited authority. Their hands are tied a little bit. They can only reject those recommendations for good cause. So I don't think, as an example, that the board could pass a policy that says we're going to no longer have a good cause requirement and we're going to give an up or down vote on every single recommendation. So depending on how this policy is worded and what it is designed to do, we need to be clear that the board needs to stay in its sphere of responsibility and the superintendent needs to stay in his sphere of responsibility, and however we design any kind of policy like that.
Let me make this statement concerning that. This is the premise under which I have operated and will continue to operate, that any issue that might be an issue that goes on TV 20, for example, or any issue that might come back before the board as an issue, we try to notify all of the board members of that. For example, the day that Mr. Coward had a question when we had the incident with the bus in Chiefland, we also had the same day the incident where the child was bitten hundreds of times by ants. That in itself could have issued a lawsuit. It could have come back before the board. And so therefore, we notified all of the board members of that incident because it is something that was pertinent to each one of you. The bus crash itself, one of the bus crashes, got rear-ended the bus. But that was not an issue that would come back before the board since there was no injuries of significance in that area. So therefore, I didn't feel like that I needed to notify all the board members. Same thing happened in Williston. A week later, we had a car that pulled out to go around the garbage truck that clipped the bus. I notified Mr. Philpott because that's in his territory, but I didn't feel like it necessary to spend time notifying everybody because it was not going to be an issue that would come back before the board. That's the premise under which I have operated and will continue to do so.
Is there a second, Mr. Calvin's motion?
Second.
Been probably moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
And for the attorney, part of my motion was to bring it back so we could workshop it, so everybody could have their input to make sure that it goes by the statutes and the duties of the superintendent are set, so.
Just so I know, because don't take this wrong, but your motion was a little rambling for my weak mind. Would you mind restating it for me, please?
My motion is to instruct the superintendent to bring back a communications policy on notifying and the protocols that go with that, and to workshop it at the next board meeting.
Or a recommendation.
Right, to bring back a recommendation that we could then all have input on.
And so you talk about a workshop at the next board meeting?
So,
Or no, he's not, he's just directing it, and then if Mr. Hastings, what he brings back, we talk about or discuss or whatever. So if we need a workshop, we need to lead into, something else, but not necessarily a workshop,
I
but,
think
it's
need
just a,
workshop.
I think you are too,
well, if that's necessary, we want to bring up that motion and bring that forward or later or whatever, but
I think that was part of the motion.
was that part of the motion to
I would like
have
it
them?
to be that way, everybody has input, so the superintendent can bring the recommendation. We have the ability to provide feedback, staff and the attorney.
But are you talking about, if you're talking about a workshop, then it could not be voted on at that particular time. It would then be,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So the motion is to research,
Bring
bring
back
back in a,
policy.
bring back at a workshop time.
That way then everybody can have their say and we can word it to the best, and then the superintendent will bring back the recommendation.
Didn't have to clear up that rambling for you, Karen.
No. The motion said we want a motion for him to bring a policy
My
I was
and
talking
a
about
workshop. I'm telling you right now, okay, where I sit right now on this is, I'm perfectly happy with the way the superintendent's been doing it. I've had a discussion with him, a frank discussion, where I said, look, on these issues, call me. For example, we changed principals at Bronson High School. That affects me very much because I'm the Bronson guy. I need to know that. But I don't feel like I needed a phone call on the bus accident in referencing Chiefland because it was not cataclysmic. I'm very satisfied with getting the phone call about the ants. I'm very satisfied that Patty got this problem with his child, things like that. I like the way it's been going. I think sometimes if we get busy writing policy, once you put it down on paper, we got to live by it. And if we put down that he's got to call every one of us on every single thing, that's going to tie him up, it's going to tie us up. And we got to follow it if it's policy. Sometimes you have to have unwritten understanding. And I think right now we have an unwritten understanding. That's my stand on the policy. As far as having a workshop, if the motion is, hey, let's have a workshop to discuss this, I'm cool with that, let's talk about it. But I'm confused on the motion. And that's my own lack of intellect, I guess, because at one point I moved that he has us a policy and we'll have a workshop on it.
So that way we can discuss it and there can be any changes, so it doesn't get advertised. So, and then we have to make a change and re-advertise. Trying to work out all the kinks before it goes and it gets advertised, and so it can satisfy Cameron Asbill, myself, Ms. Brookins, Mr. Turner, Mr. Philpott, Mr. Hastings, and Mr. Demone. But I do disagree with you, Cameron, in the fact that our resident areas is just a resident area. Our district is the whole county and is every school. Because we make decisions that, just like I make decisions that affect Bronson and Yankeetown and Williston and Chiefland and Cedar Key, then I feel like we should all be notified. I'm not saying it has to be right away. That's my whole point. But for me to be stopped somewhere in the grocery store and asked by a newspaper reporter about something.
Well, I think I have been
That's,
asked.
You know, I think that maybe we should have the workshop and the regulation, because it takes the I out of it, and let's take the I, so we can all, focus on the big picture and everybody's opinion, so, so really, it's a motion for a workshop for Mr. Hastings to bring a recommendation, so we can discuss it, is that correct?
That would suit me, I mean,
that's fine.
you'll modify your motion that
I'll
way.
modify my motion then, so, actually, I'll withdraw my motion and make the motion that we have a workshop to discuss this, to bring the superintendent to bring the recommendation.
Does anybody object to Mr. Calvin withdrawing his motion? Mr. Turner, you the second, or you object to that?
So if we go in that direction, we are then in effect saying that we're gonna sit down and make a policy?
No.
Then what basis are we gonna work from at the workshop?
The superintendent is going to bring.
Recommendation,
all right,
his
okay.
recommendation.
If that's the case, then yes, I withdraw my second.
Okay, now, Mr. Calvin, would you like to, any objection to that? Seeing none, motion withdrawn. Mr. Calvin, you have a new motion for us.
My motion is to ask the superintendent to bring a policy on communication protocol to be workshopped
When?
the next board meeting.
The next board meeting.
I have a problem. That next board meeting won't work for me on the schedule, so,
How about a month from now at the second board meeting, the morning board meeting?
That would be
won't
our
work either,
meeting.
also, we got a school board thing that we're all going to.
No,
That's November. We
no,
say
November, the second meeting in November.
And that's
Uh,
reorganization.
Yeah, that's reorganization,
I won't take that one.
So your motion is for a
To have a
month from now.
workshop.
A month from now.
Yes, sir. That way,
At the board meeting, a month from now.
yes.
Okay?
For November the 21st,
Yes,
or whatever that one is, okay.
Mr. Superintendent, is that enough time that it doesn't take away or?
Yeah, my only concern is, I don't think this workshop is going to be a quick thing.
Okay.
I think it's going to take an hour or maybe 2 hours for all of us to express ourselves adequately. Because I certainly have some things I want to express adequately. And so I don't see it as being quickly done.
Okay.
And so I think a separate time for a workshop would be better.
Okay.
yeah, I do too, I agree.
Okay, when?
I was trying to look at my calendar.
Mr. Philpott,
Sir,
just a little bit of FYI. I just received an update from NEFAC on the model board policies from all the stuff that's happened this summer. And I've just pulled all that stuff, so I'll be just started the review for that part. And the goal here is to have any policy updates come to you all in January at the end of the first semester. So that's just kind of the time frame. So in other words, whenever this PAM has to advertise a policy, it has to be advertised for 28 days, am I correct?
Yes.
Okay? And when Ms. Pam advertises a policy, she doesn't necessarily advertise the language or what language that's debated. It's just that we're reviewing these policies for public input, and you can be here for public input on those policies. So the language on those policies are not advertised, it's just the policy is.
Yeah, but we need to have a workshop.
Right.
And it has to be done 28 days prior to instituting a new policy.
Yes.
So if we had one sometime in November, then that would give us time to have a new policy if one so develops in January. Or if one doesn't develop.
And we'll probably, just thinking about, I don't know if you've done this or not, but generally you suspend the first board meeting in January because of
We haven't done it
Christmas.
yet.
Right.
so pick a day in November, Mr. Calvin, or Mr. Superintendent. I'm flexible.
The only day that I know I have value adjustment board on the 3rd. but that's at 9 o'clock and probably will last an hour and a half, so anytime after
As far as I'm concerned, the third would be good if we, schedule it for 9 to 10:30, you think you're safe?
that. The value adjustment starts at 9. The guy said he needed 45 minutes, so I figured I'd give myself another 45
Yeah.
minutes, so.
We could go 1 o'clock on the third,
Ms. Brooks, you have any objection to that?
that's a Monday.
It'll be a problem for me, I can make it on the
Would,
third.
would 2 o'clock suit you better get away from lunch? Is that-
Two would be good, yes, I mean.
2 o'clock, Mr. Apple?
Third is very difficult there.
It is this weekend, isn't it?
2 o'clock is not good?
It's just
The
a,
whole third is a bad day. I'll be honest, it's
How about November 5th? Mr.
a
Hastings?
much better day for me.
Wednesday.
Go.
Fifth?
Yes, sir.
At 2 o'clock, at 9 o'clock in the morning?
Yes, sir.
How about November 10th on Monday?
2 o'clock.
You're getting my Yorkie time here now.
Does it have to be a Monday?
No, I'm just, y'all throw.
My personally, my busiest days are Mondays and Fridays. They're just awful to get away from. Wednesdays are extremely much better. Usually, any time Wednesdays.
What time Wednesday do you, is your appointment, you're done with on the 6th, or 5th, excuse me?
What about the 12th?
I think I'm gonna be going all day. I'm wide open on the 12th.
12,
All day.
12.
I can adjust it to 12,
2 p.m.
anytime,
Anytime.
whatever's good for everybody else.
Morning.
9 o'clock on my 12th.
Motion is out on the table. 9 o'clock on the 12th of November. Mr. Astor,
That's dead
Mr.
solid.
Coward,
Yes, sir.
Ms. Brooks,
That's good, and I'll bring breakfast.
Mr. Turner.
Yes, sir.
And Benedict.
Anything you want, oh, happy.
All right, so the motion is now before us that we meet in a workshop on November the 12th at 9 a.m.
To discuss
to discuss
notification of board members, a policy regarding notification of board members. Is that right? Are y'all expecting the superintendent to have an example?
He was gonna work on it at some point, yes.
Yeah, we'll research other counties and defects and see what they have.
Thank you.
Okay, everybody clear with the motion? Any further discussion? You all right, Mr. Turner?
Yes, sir. I'll be there Wednesday the 12th.
All right, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion passes. We will meet November the 12th at 9 a.m. to discuss notification by the superintendent of things that happen within the district. Thank you very much. Over the record, from Ms. Brooks, you said you need to tell her what we want. You can
Right.
have anything you want.
I
All right.
will.
Ms. Pam, is there any additions or corrections to the minutes?
No, sir.
Mr. Adams, you have any questions about the minutes? Mr. Cowell?
No, sir.
Mrs. Brookins?
No.
Mr. Turner? I have none. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion passes. The minutes have been approved. Ms. Pam, is there any additions or corrections to the consent agenda?
No, sir.
Mr. Turner?
Mr. Chair, I would request at this time that we please remove from the consent agenda so they can be acted on separately by themselves. Under general items, number 1, page 1, A3. And on the additions to consent agenda, 1, general item A6.
What's the first one?
On page, on general items, employee status changes, recommendation, A3.
Do I have a name, Mr. Turner?
Yes, sir.
And then what was the other?
On the addition to consent agenda,
Addition
A, 1A6.
to, okay, is there any objection to that? All in favor? Aye. All opposed, nay? Okay, that means we'll consider 3A and 6A separately. Is that correct, Mr. Turner? Okay. Any other, Mr. You have any other comments about the consent agenda?
Yes, sir, I did on page 1, again, under 1 general items A, number 5, that we approve these as they are presented, which is in draft form. If we, and what I see is we approve them as they are, that there can be no changes, and yet they're all sent in, that is the copies that I got, were draft form, meaning that more things need to be done possibly to them.
No, I can just comment that with the school improvement process, I mean, this is the plan as it is now, but as things changes, as your student needs changes, and as the data tells you that you need to change, you address those changes. So, I mean, it's a constant state of draft, if you will.
Okay, so, all right, well, then it won't matter.
So it is based on, it's a template that comes out from the state, and the school has to go in there and identify a need, and that's what they've done.
They can, after we approve this, they can come back a month now.
You
and
shouldn't
make some changes to it.
You won't see any changes, shall I say, to the need, but you might see changes to the strategies or them, how they attack the problem, so I say.
Okay.
In other words, if what they're doing is not working, they need to change.
So at that time, would it come back as an amendment?
No, so they don't come back to you, that's a part of the school improvement process, and it's part of how it works.
So we will always be approving these as drafts.
Well, it's
It's an evolving document.
it's always a working document.
Okay. All right.
Anything else, Mr. Turner?
No, thank you for that.
Any questions, Mr. Turner?
Those were, call fingers.
Mrs. Brookins? Mr. Coward?
On the district facilities work grant, is that kind of like our capital improvement? It's what we budget, but not necessarily how it will be spent?
It's a plan for the next 5 years, and it has to balance the year that you submitted. So you'll notice that they all balance all 5 years, but it's not in stone. It's just an idea.
Gotcha.
It's
Another working plan.
It's a 5-year plan.
Okay,
It's a 5-year plan, which has to be done annually.
gotcha.
Yeah, I have to submit every year.
Yeah, because the only thing that struck me is like looking where we say refinish gym floors and Bronson Senior Highs on there, and hopefully we wouldn't be spending any money
Exactly,
on
yeah.
stuff like that, so, or anything that doesn't have to do with educating kids at legal learning, so, okay, I'm good.
Thank you. Mr. Adams?
The only thing I have a feeling that my friend Mr. Turner is going to question, so I'll sit back out of that.
Okay. All in favor of approving the consent agenda except for the 2 withdrawn items, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. All right, the agenda is approved. Consent agenda. Now, we'll consider a 1A.
I move we accept the consent agenda.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry.
I move we accept it.
second.
We didn't have a motion?
Yes.
Man, I'm in a hurry. Okay, now,
Second.
is there any further discussion? Now, all in, Mr. Turner.
I'm just waving at the camera for you.
Mr. Turner, everybody makes mistakes, just that you obviously. All right. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Now, we have approved the consent agenda. Now, let's go now to general item A3, 1A3. Ms. Turner.
Is this a 90-day?
But they don't have the 90-day anymore, it's a 1 year, and which
So
you
in
can,
1 year,
you can terminate any faculty member within the first year at any time, and they can walk out at any time, in which this guy decided to walk out.
And we have to, I look both ways, we have to abide by that breaking of his contract.
Statute.
That's that.
All right.
The other one we had, that was past the 90 days, though, was it Chief Elementary that had got offered another job in Dixie?
Yeah, she was in, after the first year,
Okay.
then you, once you sign a contract, you have to stay for that year.
Gotcha.
Unless the board releases you.
Yes.
But in these two instances right now, there would be no way you could say, no way, we're not.
Attorney, you got to discuss one at a time right now, sir.
That's
That's not a good situation. All right, sir, did that, okay. Then,
You got a motion to approve?
So,
yes, I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. All right, it's been approved. Now, Mr. Turner, 1, general items A6.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Is this dude, he hasn't been working 90 days either?
I don't
This one here, I specifically asked to stay within the 1 year window. We can terminate them and they can terminate us.
Okay, but he hasn't been a year then.
Correct.
What do these people take these jobs for? Makes me mad. All right, any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. That also has been approved.
I will say,
Thank you for that information.
on the first one, the guy couldn't get his wife to move. He was from Jacksonville, and his wife said, I ain't going. And so, he was kind of in a very difficult position. His job or his wife.
That ain't such a bad decision sometimes. All right, move on. Superintendent, not in my case, not in my case. But I know some people. All right, superintendent comment.
I know a lady I want to.
Yeah, she might agree, but.
Remember, we're still running right now.
I'm moving on. I do want to make mention of the PD Day today and just putting an event like that together where you have outside guest speakers that you're paying a good sum to come and do a presentation to a multitude of people, and you've got 300 or 400 people there. It takes a lot of coordination, and I want to compliment all the people that worked so hard. We had district people and administrators and faculty members working on putting this together, and excellent job, and I know things are going well over there today, but we still have teachers, believe it or not, that will call up and say, can I take a comp day instead of going to PD? And those kind of things just do, yeah, because they work at Fall Festival, they don't want to be professionally developed or whatever. Anyway.
Mr. Did we say no?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes, sir, we said no. One of the requirements of being a good teacher is to know what you are supposed to be doing instructionally, and that's the reason why professional development along is so advantageous. And you all know that. I'm just saying I still don't understand people that don't want to be professionally developed. I want to give compliments to Ted and some of the men that work there. Y'all probably didn't know this, but this podium used to sit like this, and then there was a little gap here, and there was wires everywhere. And you cannot tell, but Reed, he put an extension on here to square this up and where we could put the envelope here and documents, and you can't tell but what it came that way from the factory. I am just amazed at some of the good work our people do. And that goes along with the ball field that so that our kids at Bronson Middle High School have outdoor facility to play on, and you can't send them across the road over there where the other ball field is. So it will serve two purposes, one for a PE area for our kids, but also in the future, not this year, but in the future, be our home baseball field for the high school. And I think that's a wonderful thing, and Ted, his men, and the county, and we've got to give credit to the county road department too, have all worked together to put that in place. And so, excellent job, and I thank you very much for all that the men do. Any other questions? That's all I have, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. Board comment, Mr. Turner?
Now, one is in the form of a request, I won't necessarily, well, I'm sure it's gonna happen in the future, me making a fool out of myself, but, so only in this instance, could we maybe be notified on the, particular agenda, if this is like second year person that's resigning? Well, I guess we could ask either way, but that, to me, that would be a little bit of help before I, sit here and do what I did a while ago.
You know, sometimes I think that maybe we lack a little bit in getting all the information down to make it easy for you to follow or understand the movements that are going on. And, you know, we'll try to do that. I don't know exactly how to do that fairly. I mean, we could.
Not in first year or something?
I'll work with Candy, we'll come up with something.
Yeah, because you got to kind of reference the contract that they're under. But we'll figure out a way to do that.
I appreciate you confirming, Mr. Turner.
Well, as I said, it's probably not gonna keep me from doing idiocy things in the future, but at least I can do that. And I have
I agree with
a
that.
couple of comments on the check register, if Mr. Clement would indulge. Question on band equipment. You obviously don't, okay. Band equipment for the band shop. Are we rotating money like we have done in the past?
We allocate a band budget based on their band members.
For each school or?
Each high school.
For a while, we were rotating, if you remember.
No, each high school sends me the number of band members that they have, and I have $15,000 that I allocate to those three.
And obviously that is general fund money.
It is.
Okay.
Yes.
I already got information on $400 for guitar strings.
I don't tell them how they spend their money.
Well, that's like a separate account for different ones there. And it was not really indicated that we did, I was just having that inquiry. Metro Life Insurance Company, self-administered billing, $28,000, almost $29,000. Likeness in his what?
That,
Self-administered billing.
I'll have to check on that, I'm not sure. What's the name of the company? Symetra?
For Metro Life Insurance.
Oh, Symetra. Symetra is the piece of care here. It's not care here, but it's the carrier who provides our excess reinsurance. It's the stop loss policy. The stop loss policy that we have.
That's not, okay, but that's not associated with the care either, though, is it?
No, but it's that program through the medical center. It's the stop loss policy.
So they have a claim that's over $150,000.
They are the carrier.
Pay them in installments.
They are the reinsurer, exactly. They're the reinsurer.
Thank you. And also, University of Florida tuition.
school enrollment.
Go ahead. Thank you for that. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Brookins?
I don't know how to do that.
Oh, I just want to share with everybody this wonderful thing that Kyle Quincy's doing with his class, his Bronson class, and he's bringing them out in the community and some students, and they're working, you know, at different places, and they're going over to hospice, and then he brought 2 boys, he brought them to the restaurant, and he just did an outstanding job. I mean, monitoring, teaching, helping, and those kids just you know, seeing their face. I mean, that was just thrilling to me. They did just a terrific job, and just the things, I mean, that they're doing that, you know, bring them over, and the kids that don't have opportunity. I really loved it. And I was excited about it, but I was a little hesitant, you know, for the kids, but it is a great thing, great program. I'm thrilled with it.
That's part of the grant that Dr. Hall has, and it's not a lot of money, but it does provide us enough to provide transportation for them and so forth. And so it's a 1-year grant that can be renewed up to 3 years. So, you know, if it's successful, we don't have to keep going, but if it continues to be successful this year, then certainly we would want to do it for the next couple of years.
Yeah, if I could help in any way, I'd be glad to, because, I mean, just from the first day, it was extremely successful throughout the whole day and for those students. I mean, it was just so obvious.
Great.
So,
Good news, thank you.
Courthouse, yeah, the courthouse.
Right.
So,
Right, so that was really good. And then, of course, I'm sure Chris is going to mention the Beast Feast, and I'll have chowder there, and, you know, whatever we need to do. And then also, I've been asked several different times about the construction progress at Williston and where we are, and I just couldn't give an accurate answer.
Yeah, we still are meeting with different people. The architect he tells me he will have his final plan the first week of November. And all the engineering is still going on. We've been working on roads a lot this last week, meeting with the county, the city, the construction people, the architect, the engineers, and trying to get our roads situated just right. And I have shared others, but we did move the entrance driveway down closer to that wooded area, you know. It's going to have to be built up more. The further down we go, the more it's going to have to be built up. But that was a better plan than trying to access through the old railway area. And it will allow us stacking up 5 cars. We can create another lane, stack 5 cars. I don't know if you want all this detail, but.
Well, I'm just a general, so I can kind of give an answer.
Yeah, there are a lot of things that we had to put in place. Now, the first week of November is critical to me, because then you have to have it approved by Swift Mud, and you can't move any dirt until Swift Mud approves it. This, you know, like Swatty River movement. And so you don't never know how fast they're going to work. Sometimes it's a long process, sometimes they're very quick, so then after that we get their approval, and we should be ready to move dirt probably the last December, 1st of January.
So basically, 1st of January.
Yeah, what we did on the back side, which would be the south side of our property, the people that have that corner area, they didn't want to play with us. They were bad sports, and we asked them about buying 25 more feet, because on that backside there's 25 foot that the city owns easement, and we can create a one-way road on 25 foot, but we would like to have where we have, you know, entrance and exit back there. This would be just for the buses and for delivery trucks and so forth. Anyway, so they came back and said, oh, we'll do something like that maybe for $70,000. So I said, nah, we're not interested in that. We've got other alternatives to go to. So we talked to the Escobars who own the property to the south. They were very happy to work with us and either give us 25 feet or 35 feet. 35 feet will give us a 60-foot, which is, a really good right-of-way. That comes out to about an additional, around 2 acres, additional property that we would buy for the Escobar at the same rate that we pay for those. So, anyway, that will create 35 feet that we're buying from the Escobar, and that will be our bus entrance and exit off of Highway 41. But, so those are the type of things. We got all the soil borings and that part's done. A lot of preliminary things. Things are happening, but they're not obvious that they're happening.
Good, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Cowell.
First thing is Seafood Festival, Mr. Jeff, thank you. So appreciate you coming down, flipping burgers, so put me on grilled shrimp. So what amazing, the weather was gorgeous, probably one of the biggest crowds. I mean, it's been a long, long time since I've seen it. They said they had cars all the way out to number 4. So appreciate that. That goes a long way with helping the school clubs and what they did. So Mr. Ted, I thanked you already, but I really want you to know we sure appreciate what you did there at the school with the covered area. So you do have some very happy mamas, so they don't have wet youngins on rainy days. So thank you for that. So, and then the last thing for Beast Feast is, I don't know if you've got your email stating that Wayne Platten will be retiring in February. That'll be his time frame for the Florida School Board's executive director. So that will be coming up. And as far as a replacement, the only name that I heard, and it was on an interim basis, would be Bill Graham. So he's a long time board member at Palm Beach, and now is in Tallahassee. I think he works through the School Board Association, educational negotiator side. So, but Beast Feast is coming up. We got tickets, so see me if you need a ticket. So you need to be there around 5:30, Ms. Perkins says. So get set up. Go from there.
Thank you, Mr. Cowell. Mr. Pastor?
I don't have anything. I don't need anything.
Thank you, Mr. Pastor. Attorney, had one other thing.
Yes, sir, our personnel department works, y'all are eligible for this part yet. Our personnel department works with retirees and information regarding the drop participants. And they just sent this out to all retiree people and stuff. And I sometimes don't think our personnel, and I'm excluding one individual out there at this point in time. And our personnel department does a good job with providing these services as well for the retirees.
They do. They put on about 4 different types of workshops. They do investments and so forth.
This week's flu shots, right? Flu shots.
Flu shots, and we will be going out to schools. The schools all have schedules on that. Also doing it over here at the center. And of course, it's no cost to people that have our insurance. For people that don't have our insurance, $20 minimum fee.
Would you repeat the first part of that statement? About the cost?
No cost to people that have our insurance.
I don't see anybody out there to respond to that. That's straight up.
I don't have anything. Anybody got anything else? You're moving to adjourn? Second.
Return to our school board.
Yes, we're going to walk in your line. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. We are adjourned. Thank you for coming.